All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I am live here at the St. John's GOP headquarters. I am with Denver Cook. He is the chairman. Am I correct in that title? He is the actual chairman of the St. John's GOP here in St. Johns County. And I wanted to talk to him about these mailers that went out. I believe these started hitting people's mailboxes yesterday, just a day before the primary election process, that were very deceiving, that said that they represented the endorsements of the St. John's GOP when in fact they did not. In fact, nobody that the GOP had endorsed is on that list. So, Mr. Cook, first of all, I want to thank you for speaking with me here this afternoon. I know you're very, very busy with this being the first day of the primary election here in St. Johns County.
Yeah, it's certainly a busy day, and if you're going to have to deal with a fire, this is, last night at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to start getting, as many phone calls and having to deal with this is not the time you want to have to put out this kind of a fire moving into such an important election here in St. Johns County. And I know you as well as others know that here in St. Johns County, it's not November that matters for our local elections. It's right now in August.
Right. And I want to talk about that in a little while. But first, I want to ask you, I guess flat out, did the St. John's GOP endorse any candidates? Because we've got people in some of the comments section saying that none of these cards are legitimate. However, I did go to your website on stjohns.gop. That is the accurate website, correct?
That's our website. Yeah, it's a GOP website.
Yes, yes. And it does have a list of endorsements. So just to set the record straight, the St. John's GOP did endorse candidates in this election, correct?
In our June meeting, June 6th, we had put up to the membership for vote 10 races to determine endorsements, but only 8 were actually endorsed. In some of the races, under our rules, people didn't achieve enough support from the membership in that voting process to receive an endorsement. So in the end, 8 races were in fact endorsed. And we considered all the legislative races here in St. Johns County, none of the constitutional in the primary.
Right. And do you have that list in front of you? Do you have those candidates so that people know straight from your mouth who the St. John's GOP has actually endorsed? Because this card, this fake card that went out in the mail, looks almost identical to the actual voter guides that you guys sent out.
Yeah, so 2 things. One, and I'll show you, this is our actual voter guide that we sent out.
Right.
We didn't send it out, so let me be clear about that.
Okay, yes.
We printed this. The only way that this has been distributed from the community is through door knocking, through canvassing.
Okay.
So this has been handed out from one person to another, door to door. Many of the candidates we endorse and their staff are also out doing it, but it's members of the party, as well as volunteers who just want to have an impact in our community, and the candidates and their staff and their workers as well have been handing out this endorsement card. It was never mailed. We didn't put it in the mail. As when you talk about the amount of mail going out right now in this election, has been particularly exhaustive for many people. It's also very expensive.
Yeah.
And at county parties, we don't typically ever see the kind of money coming in. Number one, we can't sell product or merchandise. Number 2, we're funded basically on contributions by people who want to contribute to a county party, and there's not people who want to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of $1,000s on a county party,
right,
when they can give it to candidates and other things like that.
And do you have any idea what it might cost to send out mailers of this magnitude? Because I think you touched on it. This is not an individual that would be capable of spending this type of money just to send mailers out. This seems to me it would have to come from a very well-funded group of individuals.
So a traditional mailer, like many that we have seen that go out, which are the half-page, almost sized mailer, to send to the super voters in the county, we have 112,000 actual voters. There's around 34,000, 35,000 that are considered super Republican voters. They never miss an election. Just to hit those can run you anywhere from $24,000 to $32,000 for one mail drop.
Wow.
And that's just sending the card.
Right.
What they did in this, and I'll hold up a little thing with the card, not only did they pay for the printing of a card, which is the stock is way thicker than what you would see in a mailer, which is the thinner paper, they also had to pay for all the envelopes, the labels, and the worst way to actually spend money, put a stamp on an envelope.
Yeah.
That's hugely expensive. When you do these mailers, they're pre-sorted on lightweight card stock, and they're done with bulk mail rates through a mail house. That's how they're generally done. So
Okay.
If this went out even to 25,000 people, it could end up costing someone upwards of $50,000 to put this out.
Wow.
That's not a small number when you look at some of the campaigns.
Yeah, so this would indicate a very well-funded group that sent this out, that has would appear to me has a vested interest in making sure the candidates that they put on their list, claiming to be from you guys, by the way, and getting elected.
We can get into the fraud part of this.
Well, I do want to ask you about that. I mean, do you have any idea? Do you have any inclination on who may be responsible for this? I did notice one thing. I got a brochure from a group claiming to be the Trump Club at one of the polling spots, and coincidentally enough, their Trump Club endorsements matched the fake endorsements to a T. Every single identical list.
Yeah, the same slate of candidates.
Yes.
So here's what and I'm going to be very clear about this. As chairman, I am not going to send an accusation against any individual, organization, or group. I'm going to leave that up to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement task force that deals with election fraud, and they have a task force. This has already been sent their direction to investigate. I'm going to let them pursue the legal aspect of that. When those people or persons are identified as a county party, we will pursue additional legal remedies as is appropriate. Certainly, there are people in this community that people are familiar with that may have been involved. And would be, your typical suspects, but I'm not going to call anyone out specifically at this time. It would be inappropriate for me. It is interesting that the names are the same.
And some of the names on that list, by the way, President Trump has endorsed their opponents. So these Trump Club flyers do not actually represent the endorsements of former President Trump.
Yeah, well, and it's important to understand.
I just found that interesting.
It is interesting. It's also interesting to note that when you talk about the Trump Club, it's not actually a club. It's a political action committee funded, filed with the state out of Tallahassee.
Oh, really?
Headquartered here in St. Johns County. But their funding came out of a Tallahassee nonprofit.
Interesting.
Over $115,000.
I think that's important for people to know.
So this isn't a local club. At one point it was. It no longer is. It is a political action committee. No
Officially it is.
If you log on to the state websites, you can search the name Trump Club, and it'll come up officially as a Florida Political Action Committee, active. And you can see where they've got their money, and you can go to sunbiz.org and search that company that they got it from and find out they're a Florida not-for-profit corporation that funded it. So follow the money. We talk about that a lot in this world, is if you really want to know what's going on, follow the money. Find out who's paying for what.
Yes.
And what they really mean. So it is interesting that they match. I also find it interesting that an organization claiming to be a Trump organization is spending its energy on local elections, putting forward local state committee men and women, school board people, down to that level here in St. Johns County. Instead of doing what I believe we all need to be working on, we're doing it here at the GOP at St. Johns County and at the state as well, supporting President Trump in his re-election bid. If they're a Trump club, they should be working on getting Donald Trump elected in the most important presidential campaign in many people's lives, and potentially, in the last well over 100 years. I mean, we can go back how important this time is in our country, but it's a pretty significant, presidential election that's coming up in November. So we deal here at the county level, both trying to do those large November races, but as you're well aware, in St. Johns County, most people are, we have 112,000 registered Republicans, 30,000 Democrats. Everything happens in the primary for all of our local elections, which is why we moved forward and evaluated and did these endorsements, because this is the election that matters for every single one of these seats.
And tell me what the process is that you guys do internally for making these endorsements. It's not typical, as I understand, it's not against the rules, but it's not typical to endorse in the primary. However, our primary in St. Johns County this year, at least, in many years, will decide who moves on to in races like the county commission race. This is our last chance to vote for the county commission race.
The winner of these county commission races will be your commissioners. The winner
Right.
of the sheriff race will be your sheriff. The
Yeah.
winner of the clerk race will be your clerk. The winner of the school board races, save one, will be your next school board member. So all of these things are decided right now. And it's hugely significant. So, you know, when you talk about the process of doing these endorsements, it is rare. It's in the rules. It's Rule 8 under the Republican Party of Florida rules that allows us to do it.
Okay.
It allows us to do it for judges. It allows us to do it for school board members, and it allows us to do it, and it's rarely used on Republican versus Republican contested primary. It's rarely been used. The RPOF has done some of these endorsements statewide as well in some statewide races that are Republican versus Republican in a primary.
Okay.
They have a different process from here at the county level. Here at the county, you need 40% of your membership at least present at a meeting you're doing it. And in order for someone to earn an endorsement, they need to receive 2/3 of the vote. So, like I said, when we did our endorsement process, we looked at 10 races. There were some of them that nobody received enough votes to reach that 2/3 number. Some of our candidates, you know, I'll talk briefly the Kim Kendall race. It was 84-1.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was overwhelming support for our commissioner races. We're nearly that close. I think the one that was the closest was 64-20, I believe, and my number may be off a little bit, so don't quote me, but I can provide you the numbers later. So these were, you know, by large number, voted for the people we've endorsed. It wasn't even
It was
close.
a majority vote.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was near majority. You know, there were some that were a little close, but like I said, one of the House races, it was like 8 to 20 to 30 something. There was no endorsement in that race.
Yeah.
You know, because it was split 3 ways, and it was, you know,
It wasn't a consensus.
southern end of our county, and there wasn't enough votes for one individual, so there was no endorsement.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Talk to people about why it's so important to vote in this primary over the next 10 days.
So personally, and I'll speak to how I feel as chairman in our party, we have a platform as a Republican Party that centers, you know, one of the major pieces of that is fiscal conservatism, small government, and fiscal responsibility. And if you look around what's been going on in this county, you've been here a long time.
My whole life.
Just like me.
Yeah.
The rate in which our taxes have been being increased, the lack of rollbacks of our millage rates, just if you look at the failure to do a rollback from 21 through 25, that's going to produce an extra over $300 million in collected revenue by the end of those collections, above what they would have gotten. Well, there's no answer for where all that extra money was. We always hear there's no money. They're issuing more and more bonds. The school district is bonded hundreds of millions of dollars. By the end of this year, if they move forward with the current budget and this proposed plan for over $120 million in new bonding, the county will have, in the last 8 years, bonded almost $1 billion.
Wow.
And we're going to have to pay interest on top of that. So these aren't fiscally responsible behaviors. Our government has been growing administratively. I always tell people, you know, the way I feel and many people do, we're getting less for more instead of more for less. So for that reason, this is super important from our party standpoint. It's also important to know that many people, when you walk around this community and talk to them, don't feel like their government is responsive to them. And I think responsiveness is super important from our government. I mean, if you can't talk to your elected representatives and be heard, what's the point of having them? Why even vote if they're not going to listen to you?
Right.
So it's, you know, these are fundamental ideas when you talk about, you know, as we talk about it in the party, we're about liberty, the constitutional liberty. And I spoke briefly with you about this earlier. Liberty and freedom are different. We often hear about freedom, but liberty is what we really are about. And liberty is freedom of oppression from your government. It's not about freedom to do whatever you want. It's about freedom from being oppressed. And many people do feel like they have no say in what their government is doing and are being forced to do things they may not like. And it's very challenging. You know, the rate of growth is an issue for many, many people. A lot of the candidates we endorse aren't anti-growth. They're about slowing the growth to allow the infrastructure to catch up. And that's not happening. Growth is accelerating and infrastructure is falling further and further behind. So this is critical time for St. Johns County. If we don't get this right, I don't know where we're going to be. And our debt ratio versus our income and value is, I would say it's no different than what the federal government has done with our national debt. They've just done it at a county level. And it really is going to hurt the taxpayers in the end. God forbid we have another crash like 06, 07. What are we going to do if home values drop 40%?
Right. A lot of people in trouble in St. Johns County.
A lot of people in trouble in St. Johns County, including our government, which will, I mean, we could have a real structural failure. So.
And again, I just want to touch on the point and make it clear for everybody watching that in terms of, as you mentioned, the county commission, the sheriff's race, I believe you said school board, with the exception of maybe one. This is, we don't have another, the primary election is the election. Whoever we vote for in this primary election will fill those seats. So it's very important to get out there. You're not going to have another chance to vote for these seats.
I did that one holdout. When you look at all of our major races, from our state senate, state house representatives, our sheriff's race, our clerk's race, all three of the county commission races, the two school board races. There's other lower races, the airport and the ports and waterways and those things. Those are more minor or regional, so to speak, or the CDDs, which everybody is voting on. But when we're talking about those major ones of school, county, and constitutionals, and the 5 constitutionals, 3 of them ran unopposed, so they're not going to be on the ballot. They will all be decided. The reason I said there's one school board that might not be, it's because the number of candidates in there is a potential. I don't believe it'll happen, but there's a potential that there could be a runoff in November.
Okay.
It's not, so there's not a guarantee that that's the case, where the other one has like 2 candidates, one is going to end up getting the majority, and that'll be it. So there's the one race that could be in November, but
Okay. All right.
It is what it is. I mean,
with the exception of that race, these are who we're picking to fill the seats that we are voting on today and for the next 10 days.
Yeah, and that'll be the people who are in power in those seats for the next 4 years.
Yes.
This isn't, next year I get to decide again.
Right.
This is 4 years.
This decides the next 4 years. And this could swing the majority on seats like the county commission race.
The county commission race, if 2 of these 3 candidates that we've endorsed go in and are able to work effectively with Krista, it will be a change in the entire direction of the county commission, and could impact the entire direction of the county administration and what government is doing and how it's functioning. So it could have a real significant impact on the future of our county, both in the, I say the short, mid, and long term. Short term over the next 3 to 4 years, mid over the next 8, and decisions made now impact what goes on over the next 20 to 30 years.
Yeah. And I do want to, I talked to Clay Murphy this morning, and he was one of the candidates that is endorsed by you all, but was, of course, left off of the fake endorsement list, which I will say many of the candidates that were on that fake endorsement list have now come out and denounced that list on 904 Now, which I think should go to their credit in some form or fashion. But Clay mentioned it is very unusual for you guys to not endorse incumbents, for a party to not endorse incumbents. Can you speak to that at all? Is that something you can get into?
Generally, to not endorse, normally you don't, county parties normally don't endorse at all. This is almost historic what we've done. Several other counties have followed suit. Generally, most counties where it's equal, they won't pick one over the other, and especially if they're seated, they don't want to damage them greatly, so you wouldn't do an endorsement.
Yeah.
We are a weird, unique county in that respect, in that because we're so Republican, there are no Democrats running against many of, in many of these races, or independents running in many of these races. It kind of, it is a difference, but to say to not, endorse an incumbent, generally it's not an issue. At most counties, an incumbent who's doing a good job and has a lot of support from the party and the community, there's no reason to do that. That has not been the case here in St. Johns County. This party, quite frankly, for a number of years, hasn't been involved with the elected officials, as many people know, that because of the way, over the last, you look at the last dozen years, the amount of money that flows to candidates through campaign contributions, the party's never really played a role in the primary process at all. It's always been focused on the general election.
Right.
But things have come to head in the last few years, and people have been engaged, and there has been a change within the county party and how they feel things are being run, and they feel there's been a lack of responsiveness from many of the leaders in the community, even to the party itself. There's a lack of responsiveness. So it's not just lack of responsive to the community, it's lack of responsive and cooperation within the party. So I'm, as chair, I'm really trying to push not only how do we make sure we get really good Republicans and conservative elected, but how once they're elected do we make sure that we're advocating for the platform of the party with them. So when they're making decisions, it falls in line with our values, our beliefs, and the purpose, stated in our platform. And if we're not seeing that from our representatives, they shouldn't be our representatives anymore. We need to, and that's kind of, how I think a lot of people feel right now. If you're not getting what you expect, and they're not following in line with the platform of the party, and they're not working with the party, why should we continue to fall in line and ignore it? It's too late. We need to step up. And I'm going to say this too. Of all of these candidates, they are all supporting Donald Trump. Every single one of them is behind Donald Trump and his presidency, regardless of what the political action committees and everyone else are saying out there that are criticizing us. These are good Americans who are stepping up, and it takes an incredible amount of risk to stand up and campaign for public office.
Yes, it does.
Personal, for your family, for emotional. It's brutal, even in normal times, and this is far from normal times. It is really brutal right now. Even in normal times, it's brutal. I'm going to diverge a little bit here. I was talking with someone a couple of days ago, and you've been around a long time. In 2015 and 2016, when we were fighting to get rid of the sales tax, and people were upset with Michael Wanacek and the budgets that were going on back in those days, I was actually having coffee with someone, and I said, man, I miss Michael. And for someone who spent so many years, and I'm not a person who ever has been disagreeable with people, but the policies he was pushing forward, I was fighting against. The budgets they were putting out, I was saying weren't in line with my values, and we needed to change millage rate, not raise general fund taxes and sales tax. So we had those exchanges, but at least they were exchanges with Michael. Didn't always win, but he wasn't well liked by the party. There were a lot of people who didn't agree with things he was doing in the community, the Tea Party and others. But we're at a point now where I'm like, I miss Michael. And that's a weird, for me as someone who's been around long, it's kind of weird for me to have to say, I miss that, because at least there was a level of transparency under what he was doing. That's completely gone right now. So there's a sea change, which is I think a lot of what's led to these endorsements even happening. That level of frustration has just reached an all-time high.
So I guess my last question here is just to make sure people are clear. And look, I always advocate to do your own research. At 904 Now, we do not endorse candidates. We do not take political money. We don't, I feel like I want to encourage people to do their own research. So can you tell me where we can find the real list of candidates that you guys are endorsing, and then speak a little bit to your vetting process in endorsing these candidates?
So you can find out about our endorsed candidates at, we talked about www.stjohns.gop. stjohns.gop. There's the list of candidates on there. If you click on the picture or the sign, it'll take you to another page, and every one of these candidates' website link is there. So you could click on every one of their websites and you could review their own campaign material. So our vetting process, I don't want to say we've had a real vetting process where everybody was sat down. We invited all the candidates in the race, in every race that was under consideration, to come in and speak to the membership, either for or against an endorsement vote being taken. Those that came were allowed to speak. They were all given equal time. The membership, because we are involved in politics and we're all, we spoke earlier, the committee men and committee women are all technically elected representatives of up to 1,000 Republicans in their precinct, have taken the time and are involved and have studied and looked at all of these candidates. Spoke and got to know some of them. Others they weren't given access to because those individuals wouldn't speak to them or reply to them. And in the end, each member made their own decision. It wasn't guided.
So this is not you personally saying, these are my personal endorsements. These are as voted on by your members.
They're as voted by the members.
Yeah.
Did I get a ballot? Yes. Did I speak during the meeting on who I thought should be endorsed? No. I got up and laid out for the membership what it was. There's actually a negative financial impact for the party. By doing endorsements in a primary, we lost our portion of the filing fees. So I had to bring that up, that we could lose somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 in funding from filing fees. And if we do this, we're going to have to make that up through contributions and going out and, knocking on doors saying, hey, help support your county party, because we have bills to pay. We have an office to maintain and a president to have through November to get Trump elected, and there's things we want to do as a party. So we've had to make up those differences, as a county party. So, I brought those things up, but as chair, and I will say this, we also only considered legislative races, not constitutional races. And the reason that, as chair, I decided to move forward in that way is constitutional officers in our county are there for every citizen, regardless of your political orientation or anything else. Our sheriff, our clerk, our tax collector, property appraiser, supervisor of elections, they don't represent a party. They represent our constitution, our state constitution, our protection from our local government. All of our legislators, they're the ones who are beholden to a party. They belong to a party platform, and the parties differ in what their platforms are and what their processes and beliefs are. So we endorse those as a party because we want people who are going to represent our party. Not the Democrat Party, not independent parties, not alternative parties. There's a number of them out there, or independents. We are a party, and we want people who are going to support our party platform. So the people who do that are our legislators. So that's why we held this just the legislative races.
Gotcha. Well, Denver Cook, chairman of the St. John's GOP, I appreciate you taking time to sit down with me. I know you're busy. I know you got other interviews you're going to tackle here today, but
lot going on.
I appreciate you sitting down for me and my cell phone and my tripod here to help inform people and set the record straight on these fake lists that are going out there. So thank you.
I really appreciate it. Just everybody out there, please go look at our website, but also more importantly, go have your vote count. Be heard. This is your chance to be heard. Educate yourself, learn what's going on, and go out and vote.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You guys heard it here first.